In our strategy, we use a 5-phase framework to understand cycles. We are not predicting events. We are mapping pressure and sequencing risk. This episode sits at the structural layer. Most people sense that debt systems hit limits. They feel it, even if they cannot explain it. The long-term debt cycle explains why those limits exist, not when they show up. This episode is based on a BuildersLens article on Ray Dalio's long-term debt cycle. The purpose here is translation. We are framing structure, not making forecasts. The long-term debt cycle describes debt growing faster than income, not over months or years, over decades, across many short-term business cycles. Early in the cycle, borrowing supports growth, debt feels manageable, policy tools work well, confidence builds naturally. Over time, debt compounds faster than productivity. Interest burdens rise. Each downturn requires more intervention. Policy efficiency declines. This cycle cannot be managed with routine rate cuts. Interest rates trend lower over decades. Debt trends higher. Intervention becomes structural, not temporary. Each crisis demands more liquidity, more balance sheet expansion, more policy force. Eventually, the tools lose precision. Late in the long-term cycle, systems rely on persistent low rates. They rely on financial repression. They rely on balance sheet expansion. These actions delay adjustment, but do not remove it. Long-term debt cycles end with resets. Sometimes through restructuring, sometimes through inflation eroding debt, sometimes through default or institutional change. The long-term debt cycle is not a single phase. It spans all 5 phases. It explains why those phases repeat over time. Phase 0 often follows a partial reset. Debt burdens are reduced. Policy credibility improves. Phase 1 quietly begins rebuilding leverage. In Phase 2, debt servicing becomes sensitive to rates. Policy effectiveness weakens. Phase 3 forces recognition of limits. Liquidity tends to break before sentiment does. Phase 4 is where long-cycle pressure partially resolves. Debt is written down or inflated away. Institutions adapt. A new multi-decade base forms. Many developed economies appear late in their long-term cycles. Debt levels are historically high. Real rates are suppressed. Balance sheets expand repeatedly. This does not time a crisis. It does not predict policy actions. It does not replace short-term signals. It provides structural context only. If this kind of framework helps you think more clearly about risk, about cycles, and about what actually matters over time, subscribing gives you consistent exposure to that process, not opinions. A repeatable way of seeing the system. Structural constraints matter more than narratives. Late-cycle distortions grow larger. Resets become more consequential. Optionality becomes more valuable. We still wait for confirmation. We still track credit, liquidity, and rates. We do not trade long-term cycles directly. They are context, not triggers. This is educational macro commentary only. It is not financial advice. We do not need to be early. We just cannot afford to be late.